Can you just give a little bit of insight into, obviously getting your head coach to talk about the playoffs to us is not something that most of us are capable of getting out of him. He just refused. Does he show you guys a little different face in the locker room behind closed doors and discussing what this is all about this time of year?
I mean, I think everybody's aware of, kind of our situation and what the reality is for a lot of teams around the NFL this time of year. But at the end of the day, you can only focus on the week you have, the opponent you have ahead of you, and the rest of that will take care of itself.
And one more just about him, if you don't mind. He can be very, very emotional on the sideline, obviously, and very stoic. Maybe off, on the podium and things like that. Is that a correct read on him, where he can be, have you seen times where he's really hot and describe that to me if you would.
I mean, football is an emotional game. He puts a lot of time into this. We all put a lot of time into this, a lot of effort into this. So, when you're playing in a game, you're in a highly contested game, like most of the games we've been in this year, it's going to be emotional. You're going to be excited sometimes you're going to be disappointed, sometimes you're going to be angry. And, I think that's just part of the ebbs and flows of the game.
And one more quick, I lied. You mentioned about you've been in a lot of highly contested, close games. It's not easy, right? You know what I mean? You don't want to get blown out, and you wouldn't mind, having a big score lead on another team. But do you think that has helped in some way, maybe down the stretch in some of these games, that this team is kind of used to this?
For sure. I mean, I think, and once you get to the playoffs, the difficulty level of winning each of those games throughout the round just increases, and the odds of you blowing somebody out goes down more and more week after week. So the reality is you're going to have to win close games in order to have success throughout the playoffs. So I definitely think playing more of those throughout the season helps.
Thanks, Darius. Thank you.
Brian Dunleavy.
Hey, Darius, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. When did you think that this was possible? If we gave you truth serum and you had to tell us, obviously your first 3 years were difficult here in terms of wins and losses. Was it after the week one? Was it when Dave's got here and it felt different? When did you truly believe, this is going to be different than the last 3 years?
It's hard to say because I've every sport I've ever played, everything I've ever done in my life, I always expect to win. And if I don't ever go into a season or into a game thinking that my team is gonna lose, so coming into this season, obviously, I knew we had the talent. That's kind of where it starts, and then we have a close knit locker room, a lot of good players, a lot of guys that believe in each other, and after that, it's about going out there and executing. That's kind of always the great unknown for every team in the NFL. You don't know how people are going to gel together and play together, but I always had belief, way back in camp whenever, we were going into the season week one, that we could be whatever we needed to be.
And then week one, you didn't play. Mm-hmm. What do you think, and it's crazy to kind of turn your individual season as taken. What do you think you've shown the Giants or the league that maybe you already knew about yourself, but what do you think this season has shown about you and kind of how you belong in this league?
I think it just shows I love ball. I feel like a lot of people, probably that would have been my predicament might have, got down or stopped maybe giving effort or not trying to get themselves out of that predicament. But I truly love playing football, So even though I was inactive week one, I didn't want that to be my predicament. But as long as I got my health and I can play ball and I can go out there and practice, I believe in myself and I believe in my ability.
And then you're a free agent, obviously, whenever this season ends. 2 games, 4 games, 8 games, whatever you have left. Do you want to stay here? Have you thought about that? I mean, it just seems like you're here. You did all the bad times, and now you're a free agent when the times are getting good. How do you look at your future?
I haven't thought about it too much. It's hard to project, because it's like kind of once you get in the season, there's such a rhythm to it. You go to practice, you're preparing for the next opponent, then boom, it's game. You look at them and it's game day. So, I've kind of just been trying to make sure I perform to the best of my ability, and kind of like I said earlier, those things tend to work themselves out as long as you perform well.
Thanks, Darius.
Rock.
Darius, you guys seem to be following Coach Dable's lead with this mentality going into this game. Is that hard to do? You must be over the moon about what this game means for you and this team.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm mostly just excited to be playing, competitive, meaningful football. I think that's, something that since I've been in the league, I haven't really had the chance to do very much. So I'm just grateful for all these games that are going to be highly contested, and obviously, we're gonna go out there and do our best to get the win in all of them.
What have you seen from Isaiah since he got here, and what has he added to the passing game for you guys?
He's been very consistent for us. He's done a great job moving the sticks. He's a little bit bigger bodied of a guy, and he does a good job of making contested catches, making catches in the middle of the field, that type of deal. But as he showed the other day, he hit Patrick Peterson with a double move, and he got down the field a little bit too. Sometimes he tends to maybe overthink his speed a little bit, but he can run. So he's been a good addition to our team, and I'm glad to have him.
Patty Trina.
Hey Darius, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Darius, can you just reflect a moment on the growth of this offense from week one to where it is now? How far has it come, and how much further until it reaches the proverbial ceiling?
To be honest, it's changed so much. As far as the people, some of the things we try to do now that we maybe weren't doing earlier. It's there's been a lot of movement, but I think we found a way to kind of put the pieces together and get some continuity going and get some rhythm going. So hopefully we can keep it going.
And if I could just ask a follow up on Isaiah. We always hear about how, if a receiver knows the system, that they generally can come in and hit the ground running. But there's also a degree of building up chemistry with the quarterback. Can you just speak to how Isaiah has built up that chemistry, what you've seen?
Yeah, I think it's kind of like you said, him being very familiar with the system. He's been in this system for now his fourth year. So almost to some degree, he has a leg up on pretty much all of us that this is our first year being in it. He understands the ins and outs. He understands, what Dayball and Calf are looking for in certain looks and different things like that. So I think all of those things help him to accelerate his chemistry with DJ and things like that.
Thank you, Darius.
We have time for two more. Bob Rookover.
Hey, Darius, how would you describe the receiver room at this point? You're three guys who weren't supposed to be in this position at this point in the season, and you've all have sort of your own little comeback stories. How would you describe that room at this point?
Yeah, I mean that kind of is, I guess, how it was seen. But I think everybody in our room has ability. Everybody in our room has talent. And this league's really just about waiting for your opportunity, and when you get your opportunity, capitalizing on it. And I think that's kind of the guys that we have playing for us right now. That's kind of type of guys that they are. People that might not have had as many opportunities as they would have liked to have in the past, but now that they're getting them, they're taking advantage of them, and that's what this league is all about.
Have you ever talked to those other two guys about what they like? Richie obviously was benched for a little bit. What that was like early on, and Isaiah, really, this is his first opportunity ever. Have you talked to those two guys about those things?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy because Isaiah wasn't even here this year. Until week, I don't even remember what week it was now. The weeks all run together, but he didn't he didn't even start the season with us. So it just goes to show, like, this league, there's so much movement. You never know what's gonna happen. You just always have to be ready.
Would you say you guys all have some sort of chip on your shoulder?
No doubt. I think we all have something to prove. I don't think that we've proven whatever it is that we got to prove yet. We still got to do more. You know what I'm saying? So it's definitely not a time for any of us to get complacent. But, I think, like I said, done a good job of taking advantage of the opportunities we've gotten, and hopefully we continue to get them.
Thank you.
Last one here, Jordan.
Hey, Darius, what's going on, man?
What's up?
You guys kind of were the underdog most of the season, right? I mean, I don't think people outside the building really expected a lot from you guys as a whole. Does that change anything going into this game? Like, do you notice that now you're expected to win and you kind of need to win this week?
I don't think it changes anything, because whether you're because we've been, like you said, we've been the dog a lot in games this year that we've won. So being the favorite or being the dog ultimately doesn't determine whether or not you win or lose the game. It's the NFL. They've got good players, so you got to go out there and play and execute and take care of the football and do the things you got to do to win a game.
Do you think it adds pressure this week, though?
I don't think so. It's kind of like I said, everybody's got good players, so it's no different than it would have been last week, playing the Vikings, who are whatever they are, 2 seed in our in the NFC. I don't think it's any different. All of these teams have good players. All of these games are games you got to win in theory if you think about it. Even if we were 12 and whatever, we would probably be trying to get the 1 seed like the Eagles are doing. So every game is important. No game is just, we can just go out here and slack off and let this one go.